As you may be aware, or some of you may be aware, Professor Kitler is not feeling well, so I'll be standing in for him to chair this session. So without taking too much time, can I invite Roy, Dr. Roy, to give us an overview of where we're at as a network currently?
We are now focusing on ourselves as a network. And the key theme that will reverberate is where we are now as a network. Those of you who have been involved in network analysis, there are certain things that make a network, and the network build each other. And then how do we want to see ourselves going into the future? What do we learn from now? And then we launch into the future, and then become bigger than RAND itself. How do we get bigger and get out of RAND into another bigger network? So those are some of the things we shall be discussing. We shall start by sharing some short, by a presentation, and then sharing some short stories with our engagement manager, giving us the perspective of where we lie in the landscape of engagement, both of internal and external stakeholders. And then we shall hear from two RI labs on how they are managing their sub-networks, if there's a story to share. That is South Africa and West Africa. What are these sub-networks looking like as sub-networks of the bigger network of RAND? And then we shall have then the group works, where we look at two inquiry areas, which we shall specify later. Just as a priming presentation, I'll go through briefly who are we as a network. We highlighted this before, that when we take stock now, we are at 16 active universities, although we know that some additional universities are soon to be onboarded, 2 of them, so that we catapult to 18, and we are still short of 2, which we say we shall go up to 20 universities. And the thematic areas for all these have been hammered out, but we also note that most of the center of activity is at the RI labs, and we need to be a little bit more creative on how to engage the Network Plus partners more smartly without having to inject so much additional resources, but we leverage as much from them for the benefit of the network as possible. So that's the key take home there. And in terms of the list, that is where we stand. You can see the different categories of institutions, those around which the 4 RI labs are centered: Makerere, Jima, UDS, and Pretoria, and then the Network Plus, and then those which were recently onboarded, those which are yet to become, again, more actively engaged in the network. And like I said, we need to notch 2 more. In terms of contracts, we've been having annualized contracts with the RI labs and partners as a prerequisite for the funding structure. And the approach we've used for the Network Plus is MOUs without financial implications, because they are not literally funded through an annual budget, but the funding is pay per operation. So if we say we want to do this operation in Malawi, and then we get our Network Plus focal person to identify the suitable person to engage at that level, and then we pay for that particular activity. And it seems the model is working for us as the most realistic fashion for sustaining such a big network. We cannot provide the same level of contracts for all the 16 universities, given the resource basket that we have. Some key challenges to note is the semi-synchronous progress at the RI labs, and not all the labs are moving at the same rate, and this is expected in any network. So to us, it's a challenge that we have to keep the dynamic follow-up so that those RI labs that are moving slower than the others can be propped up so that we keep moving as a network. But the key issue is we are semi-synchronous, and we need to keep working towards moving forward. And then the second key challenge we need to highlight is how to better engage the Network Plus partners so that they are more active, they contribute more to the fold, and this we need to be a little bit more creative about it. With regard to operating procedures, the RAN Secretariat and together working with the US-based partners came up with several manuals at the start of this network. Manuals, work plans, so we have a format for the work plans, we have RI lab specific budgets, we have standard operating procedures manuals that have been disseminated. We've taken our administrators in most of the labs for training on the USAID procedures, the 500-page manual of procedures. And then also we've tried our level-based as a network to be prompt with quarterly reporting within, and then the biannual reporting that is required to the USAID level. I think that's one area where we've been fairly consistent on the dates for handing in the different reports. So the key issue, the key challenge as a network that we need to keep alive at the back of our mind is to maintain adherence to the norms that we've set ourselves to do. If we say we report on a quarterly basis, we keep that up to the end. We soldier on so that we don't break that. And once that trust is created, then the level of autonomy to the decentralized units will become higher and higher.